What's up guys, it's Miko from ML Sound Lab. For those who don't know, I create the cap packs for Fractal Audio. And right now I want to talk about the ML Dizzy that's coming out. That's based on the Diezel 4x12 caps. One with the Celestion G12 K100 and one with the V30s. That's vintage 30s for those who don't know. And I kind of wanted to demonstrate it for you guys because I just finished choosing the Ace IRs for that cap pack and I've been having so much fun with it. So I thought, what the hell, I'll show you what it sounds like. I'm using PRS. This is a CE24, so it has a bolt-on neck. It's tuned to C, so it's kind of a modern metal thing right now. But I'm gonna use other guitars also, so don't worry about it. Just skip this part if you don't care about the metal tones. The sound that I'm using here is just the Dizzy V30 with default settings. I always demonstrate my IRs with default settings because I want you guys to get these sounds easily. So if I demonstrate these sounds and I use my IRs with default settings, it's kind of a true representation of what the cap pack will sound like. So right now the IR that I'm using here is a blend of two alloy IRs, one of the K100 and one of the V30. So it sounds pretty good in my opinion. These are the alloy aces that I chose for this pack, and actually I have all the ace IRs in here. Right now I'm showing you everything with kind of a high gain sound because that usually shows the IR character so much better than, you know, slightly driven tones. So let me just show you how the K100 sounds like with the E906 mic. So straight away, even with just that one mic, it's kind of really aggressive and fat sounding. And I want you guys to know that the K100 is kind of known for being a difficult speaker to mic up, and that's true. It was really difficult, but luckily I was able to get it sounding pretty good. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with my cap packs, but I always shoot all the speakers on every cabinet. So it's kind of like if you went to the store and bought a cab and then mic'd it up, and you have all the different variations of every speaker of that cabinet instead of just, you know, having something that I prefer or something. I want you to get all the options available. So let's compare the different speakers from this pack or this cabinet, this Diezel cabinet with the G12 K100s. Was a bit more aggressive. The A speaker is always the left bottom speaker and B is the right bottom speaker. C is the top right speaker. So even with just that one mic, the E906, and all different speakers on that cabinet, you get kind of a variety of tones that are all, in my opinion, really usable in a mixed context. And bear in mind that I have the default settings on the Dizzy amp sim, so it doesn't really require any work to get these tones. I'll just skip to the M160 to demonstrate how it sounds. It's a ribbon mic, so it has more low end. And it's kind of what I use for blending in more low end. And I'll quickly go through the different variations on the different speakers. That's actually quite usable on its own already. I like it for leads, it just works pretty well. Let's try the top left speaker. And that's once again a bit more angrier sounding. With the K100, I think the best mic was the MD421. That's usually kind of a hunky mic. I rarely use it on its own. I actually never use it on its own. But with the K100, it's pretty much the best mic. So interesting to know. And that's just the MD421 mic, that's not a blend or anything. That's kind of rare to get kind of like a full tone with just that MD421 mic, especially with the modern one. Let's try the different speakers. Really nice sounding. I have to say these are the best MD421 single mic IRs that I've ever created. Just saying that with the G12 K100 speaker, I think MD421 is the mic to use. Especially blending that with an SM57 is like, that's like heaven for me at least. The next mic that I have here is the Royer 121, and it has the most low end. It will sound woofy, especially after the MD421, but let's see how it sounds. That's pretty usable actually. I feel like it really brings the Dizzy low end kind of the character that, you know, people usually think about when they think about Diezel. So it really helps bring it out nicely. So blending this with other mics might be a really cool way to get kind of a balanced tone with that huge low end going on. So after doing the Royer, I have the SM57 here, and in comparison it will sound really bright, but actually the SM57 is something you can use on its own, and it'll cut through a mix really easily. I actually suggest using the single IRs most of the time, because I feel like in the modeling world you just listen to the sounds separately and you end up with something that's too dark for a mix. So if you're using just an SM57 IR, you usually end up with something that fits a mix a lot better. So here's the K100 SM57. And the bottom right speaker. So that's kind of the variety of single mics that you get from the Ace folder. Remember that these are just the ones that I thought were the best sounding ones, but obviously that's just my opinion, and when you go in the archives of this cap pack, you'll find a lot more IRs to choose from. These are just the best ones that I thought, well, what I thought were the best. Obviously with CapLab, what you'd normally do here is you'd find the IRs that you thought sounded the best and blend them together. I'll kind of do that, demonstrate that for you guys. Just so if you don't have CapLab, you'll see why you need it, you definitely need it. So first I'll search for the best SM57 for me. For some reason I'm liking the C1 here. It was not the best sounding on its own, but I love the direct sound that it had, so I think it's gonna blend really well with other mics. Let me search for something from the E906s. Okay, I also prefer the C1 here, but I think I'm gonna go with another IR just so that we get more variety in the tone. We're gonna choose the A or B. Yeah, the A is more aggressive, so I'm gonna go with that one. And let's go through the M160s. I'm gonna use the C1. Actually, I'm not gonna use the Royer for this one because I know I already have enough low end with that M160 in there. I might actually even mute that one. That's just how I like it. Now I'm gonna choose the MD421 IR. It's gotta be the A1. So right now I have these 4 IRs in here. Now that I click mixer, you can name this IR. I'll name it this, and then I'll send it to the scratch pad. And this is the full tone that I get from these 4 IRs blended in together. I haven't discussed the alloy IRs at all. Alloy is kind of a word that I came up with just to describe this mix that I do. That's kind of a live mix of 2 microphones. I think that's the perfect amount of microphones to be blended in. The more you start mixing them in, the more mids you get and kind of lose the character of the cabinet. So I like blending 2 microphones together, and when you do that in real life, you can really play with the face of the microphones. I mean, pulling back one mic and getting kind of an interesting tone, and finding microphone positions that you wouldn't normally use, but they just work together with these 2 microphones. So that's the majority of the work that I do when I shoot these IRs. Single mics don't really take that much time, but creating these alloy IRs really takes a lot of time, and it's worth it. I've chosen kind of the best representations of the tones that I think you should be getting with the alloy IRs, and these are called the alloy aces, so to say. I'll just show you guys quickly what they sound like. And that's the E906 blended in with an MD421 in real life, not in post like in here. And the thing that you miss when you do it like this in post is, you know, the reality of it. Some of these IRs would normally be impossible to shoot. Maybe the microphones would kind of cross each other, and phase is actually impossible to get perfect in real life the way you do here in CapLab. But it doesn't mean that it sounds bad. It's just you know, more authentic, the way that I do it with the alloy IRs. Let me demonstrate something else. I'll just go through all these alloy aces that I chose here, so you'll hear what they sound like. So that's kind of what I was talking about before with the M160, that it has this rich low end, kind of the Diezel thing going on. So when you blend it with an SM57, you really get that, you know, that stereotype Diezel tone. Very aggressive, very meaty, but for me the perfect mic pairing is always the SM57 and the MD421. The MD421 is rarely this good on its own, but it's the best blend mic for the SM57. It just gives it that bite, and it has everything that the SM57 doesn't have. So it does sound weird on its own, but when you blend it with an SM57, it's just perfect. It's just perfect. With the K100 it's different. The MD421 sounds really good on its own, and obviously SM57 always sounds good. So I really like this alloy IR here. Definitely one of the best IRs I've ever made. Sorry, I'm geeky about this, but I'm really happy with this IR. The SM57 Royer 121 is probably a bit dark once again. So the SM57 R121 once again is more meaty, more woody sounding kind of in a way, like there's wood in the cabinet and stuff like that. I'll try the SM57 with another SM57 that I have at the studio. Sounds perfect, once again, obviously in my opinion, but you know, I didn't even tweak the amp, and I just went through all the Ace IRs for the K100, and not one of them sounded bad. So I hope this demonstrates the versatility and the good tones that are possible to get with the Cap Pack. But I haven't even touched the Vintage 30 IRs yet, so let me demonstrate them to you guys. Just for the sake of things, I'm gonna switch the guitar, so it's not just metal all the time. So bear with me. Okay, I'm back. I have another guitar. It's the Fender Strat with Sir pickups on it. So right away you'll hear the character of the guitar completely changed everything. And I didn't touch the patch. It's exactly the same. It has a Dizzy V4 Silver 3, everything on noon, and default settings is still using the same IR that I was using before. Just for interest's sake, let's try the mix that we created with the Strat. So yeah, the IRs work with the Strat also. If you want to hear a cleaner tone, I'll do that. I'll just lower the drive on the Dizzy. I'm not gonna change amp sims or anything. Okay, I think it's time to go into the V30 world. Many of you probably have been waiting for this one. So, first of all, I've created lots of V30 IRs before. I would have to say this is once again completely different. The cabinet is different, speakers are obviously different, but I'll probably create a comparison for you guys at some point. But right now I'm just gonna compare the V30 to the K100 because that's all that really matters here, right? So let's just, I'll use the SM57 MD421 alloys, compare them to each other. So that's the K100, so here's the V30. Both sound great, but completely different. It's a bit harder to hear here because, you know, we don't have that much gain going on. Sorry, but I think we've had enough of the Strat right now. Let's try the Les Paul. Okay, we're back. It's a Les Paul standard, 2014. At the anniversary inlay here. So it's got the burst bucker 1 and 2. I might be completely wrong, but it's got burst buckers in it, so kind of like a PAF replica, trying to sound like the old Les Pauls in a way. Nothing special in here, I guess. Les Paul standard. Because you guys are mostly familiar with the SM57 most likely, let's compare the SM57 of the V30 and the K100, and let's compare the IRs to each other. So this is the V30. So those were all V30 SM57 IRs. Now let's compare that to the K100. So in comparison, the K100 is, for me at least, a lot more interesting, something different, something more aggressive than the V30, something mean sounding, something that is kind of mid-scooped, but in an interesting way. It has a lot of bite in the high end still. It's got nice tight low end, a huge low end. V30 is really balanced and neutral sounding, as it always is, and that's why it's the most common speaker used, in my opinion. But in comparison, you really can't choose, or at least I cannot choose which one is better. So what I do is, let's mix them together. So, like I said, my favorite thing is to blend in the SM57 and the MD421. So let's take both of the LOA's IRs with the SM57 and the MD421 and blend these together. And I think we should be getting a pretty awesome tone. I'll quickly demonstrate the different mics on the V30. So this is the E906. This is the M160. Oh, nice and beefy. MD421. Like I said before, kind of hunky sounding on its own, but it's the best blend mic, trust me. R121. And obviously the SM57. And I'll go through the alloy aces for the V30 also. You're not supposed to play something like that on a guitar like this. SM57 for 121 alloy IR. And the SM57 with another SM57. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this pack will come out soon. See you later.